Alcohol and drug abuse have been driving the criminal justice system in Washington for decades. The cost to taxpayers who foot the bill is substantial and strains the state budget. Impaired driving is often a symptom of a larger problem: alcohol and drug misuse and abuse. In 2013, the Washington state legislators established the 24/7 Sobriety Program. This program provides an alternative to incarceration for individuals arrested for or convicted of DUI offenses. The goal of the 24/7 Sobriety Program is to combat the role that alcohol and drug abuse play in crime and criminal recidivism, particularly for drunk driving, by motivating offenders to change their behaviors. About 2/3 of arrested impaired drivers will stay first-time offenders, but the remaining 1/3 will become repeat offenders.
Currently, judges have the authority to order alcohol monitoring when there's an alcohol-related or drug-related offense prior to trial, pre-adjudication. This is just a more intensive form of that. So there might be some judges who are hesitating using the 24/7 program because of some constitutional concerns. But again, these types of affirmative conditions are already imposed prior to trial. We want this to go statewide. We want this to be a program that, where each law enforcement jurisdiction uses it to its advantage.
We would like to see it expand, and the reason is that it's so successful. When you have an immediate consequence, it doesn't matter quite so much the severity of the consequence, but the fact that it's immediate is very important. And the fact is that in these other states that have it, 99% of the folks that are being tested are passing. So what's developing is they're developing a habit of sobriety and a habit of becoming a more productive citizens. And in fact, that's what's happening in the states that have the 24/7 program.
Well, a judge is really focused on two basic questions, and that is, will this person come back to court if I release them? And two, can I release them and ensure that the community is safe? Those are going to be the two primary questions that a judge is going to be looking at. The reason I think 24/7 is a good alternative for a court to look at for this is because it really ensures both things. Because again, you've got an offender checking in on a daily basis.
Once we get an individual into the 24/7 program, does it help out our jail population? Absolutely. It not only gets that individual into the treatment immediately that we're seeing that they need, but it also provides an opportunity for us to be able to put the people in jail who really need to be in jail, not the people who might have addiction problems and are able to use a 24/7 program to be able to help them with their addiction and recognize it and get the help they need.
As a police department, we administer the program for the court. We do work closely with the court just for information exchange for the most part. When somebody's arrested and they get arraigned in court, the judge will typically either pre-sentence or post-conviction will sentence them to the 24/7 program.
The judgment and sentence that was entered on March 2015, 6 months at 24/7 with Centralia Police Department to start.
When they do that, they are required to meet with us at the police department where we sign them up, and we charge a $30 fee in order to sign them up. When we do that, they at that point have to give 2 breath samples per day, one at between 6:30 and 7:30 in the morning and 6:30 and 7:30 at night. We have an area in the building where all participants will go to during the testing hour. And when they show up, one person's allowed inside with the tester to ensure that there's not a lot of commotion, things like that. So everything's done properly, so everybody has the same opportunity and get the same amount of time to make sure that they get a proper testing, to make sure that everything runs smoothly. Once they do that, then they pay their $2, or unless they prepay, they are then excused, and then they come back 12 hours later for the testing again.
All right, ready for the second test?
When someone blows hot,
All right.
they're at any time on either the second, third, fourth, or fifth violation, they're immediately taken into custody and transported to the jail on the violation. This program is actually not just designed for alcohol. This program is designed for alcohol and drugs. So if somebody gets arrested for marijuana, driving under the influence of marijuana per se, they can actually be sentenced in this court to giving not only breath samples to ensure that they're sober and so they don't go from one drug to another, but the other side of that is they can also be sentenced to mandatory drug testing on a twice, 3 times a week basis to ensure that they're not using drugs and or alcohol and driving down the road and doing what they normally do.
One of the reasons I like the program is because it requires people to be responsible for their own behaviors, sometimes for the first time ever. And part of that is because of the disease of alcoholism. They don't take responsibility for themselves. They actually form a fairly decent relationship with the officers administering the program. They are treated with respect, they are treated professionally, and sometimes they're not afforded that in their normal course of conduct. Nobody likes a mean drunk. When they're sober, they can be some very pleasant people.
It has kind of helped mold a day for me because that was apparently hard for me to do. And it has helped keep me sober. But it's also, you know, I have a place to live now. I have a job that I go to every day, and I've become a better person. I don't want to say it's all because of the 24/7 program, but it definitely keeps you in check.
Going into treatment, people do drink. You know, they can get away with it, but if you're held accountable like that, you really need a clear mind through all this stuff, and it helps.
When you're completely sober, you tend to think more clearly, and you know, you don't realize that you still have alcohol in you from the day before, depending on how much you drank. I'm completely sober, and you just see things differently, and each day it gets easier and easier. It just does. I mean, it just makes life easier as well.
24/7 program benefits the community. The hard thing to do in any new project is involvement. The most important thing that we as sheriffs and police chiefs, prosecutors, Office of Assigned Counsel, and judges is look at what 24/7 can do for our community and say, is that worthy of an investment? And if you were to look at statistical data in the 24/7 program, you would say that it does benefit our community, and that why aren't we doing it if you're not doing it?
For help starting a 24/7 sobriety program in your jurisdiction, contact the Washington Association of Sheriffs and Police Chiefs.